I think something does need to be sort of thought about and done in the near future. I'm not throwing all my weight at one possible solution. I think it's just a discussion that needs to be had. You know, whether it's just addressing the minimum shifting for the officers that we have, or whether it's going down a different road, or, you know, maybe it's looking at things to help retain officers, help to attract better candidates, which isn't a dig at my current employees. But, you know, it's not solely on our department. This is, you know, well, let's face it. When you've gone out to look to see what's available out there, it's not like there's. Our last hiring process, we had two candidates that followed the directions, let alone were qualified. One which was qualified out of the two that followed the directions. So anyway, that's you know, I hate seeing holes in the schedule. I work as much as I can, trying to fill those holes myself, but there's only so much that I can do.
So my comment would be that I greatly appreciate you trying to go out of your way to be able to put in extra hours, but I honestly don't want you working double shift. I don't think that deals with your own safety. And right. I've had a number of conversations with you know, the mayor about this, and it's not often that I do actual double shifts.
Certainly not preferred, but sometimes it's
occasionally it does happen. Occasionally it fits my own schedule that it's, you know. I'm just saying it's practice. That's no way to plug the dike, so to speak. Right. And I also see more news reports from every police force, whether we're talking about county, whether we're talking about local, they're talking about New York City, any of the police forces are having a horrible time getting people to be able to getting new candidates and retaining their current. Yeah, no, I wonder why that is. Yeah. What could the possible reason for that be? Yeah. And you know, unfortunately, it's something that's been going on for about 3 years. And you know, some of the political stuff going on has coincided with unnecessary and disrespectful behavior of police that shouldn't have been happening, period, but has been part of what's going on, and it's not right. But we have to be able to face the fact that a whole lot of people don't want to be policemen and don't want to be teachers and don't want to be in a lot of places for a whole lot of reasons.
Well, I don't think any of the people who are there, they're all guys now, have a problem with that. And there's not a retention problem that I see with them. Certainly it was a loss to lose Kelly, but she went to a better job. I can hold her back from that. I don't know that it's a retention problem. I don't even know it's a salary problem. It's a matter of, well, I mean, I don't, maybe it is a salary thing. If there was more salary, would they really want to work more hours? I don't know. I mean, that's a discussion we'd have to.
I think we're always going to be competing with, especially you know, police forces to the south in other communities where they have more, you know, more wealth as opposed to.
I mean, myself, I make almost as much working my part-time job as I work at this full-time job. But I have to drive, you know, I have to drive an hour south to do it. But
exactly.
I mean, I can make as much working part-time as I make working full-time here.
There's no doubt if you go to Westchester, you're going to make more money. No doubt. Right.
The only thing I want to add is that I think the public is actually noticing this too. I've had several people say it. Yeah. And once that happens, then, you know, bad actors start to notice as well. And I mean, obviously we live in a safe community, but an increasing amount of open shifts could lead to a potential, you know, negative consequence down the road. So.
Well, like the officer said, I mean, when they're not there, there is local police available in New York State, right, down the road. But the turnaround time, the response time is definitely longer, and just the familiarity with the area is just not there. So,
which is no dig on either of the other two agencies that operate.
Yeah, sure.
It's reality. You have sheriffs and state police that are trying to cover 10 times the amount of territory, yet you're on a call. That's just the way it goes.
But yeah, I gotta tell you, this is, I've never seen a report with just one traffic ticket for the whole month. That's,
That actually, I mean, it should read 2, not that that's much better.
yeah, that's still way off. It's almost an order of magnitude off of what we're used to. All right, where do we go from here? All right, so Jared, why don't you and I sit down and let's talk about this?
Absolutely.
Maybe we need to get all the officers together and just have a, meeting of the minds in terms of what's on their minds, help us better.
If you're available on the 19th, we'll be at the range.
Okay.
All of us.
Okay.
So, which.
Let us make that a meeting.
Okay.
Okay. I also wanted you to discuss the active shooter plan. You had that plan last month. I don't see it in the thing this month. And the body worn cameras.
The active shooter plan that we had, I submitted it last month. I looked for it in my email that I sent to you, and I could not locate it. Number one was to start with the annual qualifications to make sure those were done. 3 of us went earlier this month, and the entire department's going back for the rifle training. And
here, why don't you use this? This is from last month.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'd like to have that document included in the minutes, just for everyone to see it.
Gotcha. We had gone, half of us went on September 28th to the range, and the 3 of us that went did qualify with pistols then. We're going back again on October 19th to finish the rifle training, and the other half are going to do their pistol qualifications also. So by the end of the 19th, we'll all be up to date on our annual qualifications. We'll have received additional training in the patrol rifle and I believe also shotgun, which at the range we go over the tactics and things associated with active shooters, some of the shooting on the move, some of the using cover, using concealment, and things like that. I've reached out to St. Joseph's Church, and they're looking into the availability of the old school for us to be able to use for an active shooter training, which with a company with Integrum training, they'll be able to get what they're called as simunitions. They're basically gunpowder propelled paintballs. So you can go through an active an active scenario with the volume of gunfire without the projectiles, the deadly projectiles.
Okay.
So I'm waiting to hear back from them on that. We've ordered two additional pistols for the department, so that everyone will own, or the village will own, all of the pistols that we use on the street. Right now there's 2. I have my own personal, and Sergeant Paluzzi were the last 2 to get village-owned pistols. This will provide consistency, will provide, so we're all using the same caliber, we're all using the same weapon, and ease of maintenance and replacement if something is to happen to one of them.
Okay.
We've also got 2 patrol rifles on order that will go out with us on patrol and be available if, God forbid, we do have an active shooter situation or a need for a patrol rifle. We're going to continue to actively seek out the other trainings that are available associated with active shooter training, and then I'm gonna reach out to the new 911 director, deputy director, Sean Castano, and see if we can get together with when they do the big countywide training, the multi-agency training.
Very good. Anything with the school?
Not currently. We'll probably reach out to them for the summer when it's not in session, and their buildings are probably a little bit more accessible to us.
Do they do any kind of training like that? The safety officer?
I mean, Deputy Freer doesn't necessarily do it, but again, working with Sean Castano through County 911 would get us all involved together in something like that.
All right, so you've identified about a 6-point plan, and I just want to make sure you follow through on those things, because that's important for us to know that you've got, your team up to date on whatever else is expected as part of this active shooter situation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Is this document, can I get that for the minutes?
Yes, I'll once you massage it as you want, or is that good the way it is?
It's good enough. I mean, it has your notes on it, so I don't know if you want to cut her over the
maybe
original.
so. I can do that. Okay, what about body-worn cameras?
So the county has reached out to us in their body-worn camera initiative and is requesting that we participate in it with them. We were given a 5-year contract quote with Axon, which is one of the more popular versions of the body-worn camera. That essentially totals out to be about $27,000, and the county is offered to provide approximately $24,000 of that initial setup cost. From there, it ends up costing us about $700
a year for 5 years.
A year for the first 5 years. And I don't know if I have that quote with me, but there are costs that are we'll have to maintain the cameras and the retention, the evidence cloud. After that, there are costs.
After the 5 years.
After the 5 years, where it would fall on us. I don't believe it was outrageous, the amount of money that would fall on us after the first 5 years. Apparently, I thought I printed out the attachment, but I did not. What else would you like to know?
Any comments from the trustees about this? I mean, I think it's an interesting thing to look at. Certainly, the county has made it very attractive financially. As a board, we would have to first put in place a procedure that the officers would have to adhere to as far as using the cameras and storing the data and retaining the data.
And the county did provide the model policy from DCJS, which is the Department of Criminal Justice Services for New York. So it's not a lengthy one. It's, I believe, 9 pages.
We did put it in our
total
police modernization plan. It's something we would look at. At that time, I was not really in favor of it just because of the logistics and the storage issues and then, of course, the finances. But the county really has taken up all that and put it to bed, at least for the first 5 years. So.
Yeah, well, I know the conclusion we drew when Officer Jared and myself worked on the police modernization plan and the entire process we went through was that Officer Jared was particularly concerned about the fact that, and please make a comment on this to correct me if I'm mistaken, but that at the time you had said that we may have to retain some of these records for life. In other words, somebody who had an issue and had an arrest 20 years ago could come back in 20 years and say, I want the video, I want this, I want that, and would compel us to hold on to that, not some cloud someplace, but hold on to it ourselves for almost
Is that
infinity.
true even if you say in our process, here's our retention plan?
I mean, it
seems like it's something that someone could ask for, but we could say our retention plan is the following.
right. Well, I mean, here's the thing: is if you make an arrest, all that's going to be cataloged into the evidence. It's kept with that arrest anyway. But one of my biggest concerns as being in charge and default is I'm going to have to be the one that pulls the video for anybody else, for every single arrest, for every complaint, to assist other agencies, because the way this system works is there's a number of triggers to turn it on. Number one, you can turn it on manually. Number two, it'll turn on when you turn on like code 3 on your light bar in the car, which is your red lights. It would activate if your pistol's drawn from your holster or your taser's drawn from its holster. It'll also activate if you're within 30 feet of another camera that's activated. So if the state police are on the scene and we pull up, our camera will activate also.
Oh, wow.
With the discovery laws that were passed a number of years ago, all of this stuff is discoverable, and I'm now required to produce all of this video for the other agencies that we happen to, stop and say, hey, are you okay? And they say, yeah, we're fine, and we go on, but now I still have to produce the 2 minutes of, that I was on scene with them, even though I wasn't involved in their arrest or anything else.
But not to belittle that, but that's a file in a storage, receptacle. So shouldn't be it's not like you're digging through a file cabinet. It's going to be online somewhere, or in the cloud somewhere, right?
And the expense factor.
Well, with the,
I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, not. I was gonna talk to the last fact, but that's fine. Go ahead, Trustee.
No, I was just saying in the expense factor of what, in terms of the storage, what it's going to cost to store the information.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought I printed out the other.
Yeah, that's the quote from Axiom that follows every 5 years. Yeah.
But I mean, it just to me, it's one more thing you're adding to my plate.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, do you have a sense of how prevalent these are in smaller localities like ours? I didn't see it in bigger ones.
So Millerton does have them. They didn't do the Axon because it wasn't in their budget to do it. Pine Plains is going in with the county on theirs. And those are the two departments that are like closest in size to ours.
What about your down in Highland?
No,
Why not?
because it's not legally required by the state. It's we have a union down there, and so
What's
it's
a union?
actually negotiable. Yeah, and the town doesn't want to pay us to wear them.
Do you want me to share with you what municipalities across this county are doing?
Yeah.
Sure.
So there's 8 are yes, 1 is undecided, and 4 are no. If that gives you some
All right.
perspective.
Thank you.
It's
Where are we at?
2/3, pretty much, right?
8, 1, and 4.
Yeah, so out of 13.
It must be the one.
And where are we?
I would assume
We're
based on
number
the
one.
conversation that you're undecided. I didn't ask.
Because they
I
asked.
didn't ask who was doing it and who wasn't. It was just historical, just
Oh, okay.
knowledge for us.
Because they asked me for a letter of commitment. I says, well, as long as this isn't binding, it says we don't want to lose the opportunity. And Mr. Castano said that we would have to go and sign an IMA with the county in December, which would give us 2 months to decide whether we want to do it, put a process in place if we wanted to do it, and then we could sign the IMA. But he said if we didn't do it, so I sent a letter of, we're seriously considering. So maybe I'm a yes. Okay. Just because he had a checkpoint, a date he needed to have to bring it to the county board. All right. Any other comments from the trustees about this? It's certainly not like it's hitting us over the head that we need this because of any incidents we have. It certainly would be a nice CYA if there ever was a problem. I mean, I think you've had incidents in the past where you had he said, she said things, and it would be nice to have had video,
Absolutely.
Record of that. But you can count those probably on your left hand.
In my tenure, for sure, and my employment here, maybe 2 hands in the 14 years I've been here.
Is that right? Okay.
Mine, as the officer in charge, less than 5.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. I'd like the trustees to think about it. I've sent you the information we have, and just respond with what your opinion is about it, if you thought about it some more, all right? As opposed to just decide now. And we'll discuss it again next month. All right? Any other questions or comments from the audience about this? All right. Also, anything else?
I didn't know if you wanted to just brush on the parade of lights here and or the V&T chapter, because those are both things that I would be involved in.
Can you stick around?
I mean, yeah.
Appreciate that. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Bob?
Yes.
September brush pickup is over. A few people have disregarded that and have asked if they could pay to have their brush picked up. And we have to set a fee for that. And I think we spoke about that. And
Yep.
I'll get back to those people with that fee and see if they're still willing to pay it.
Why isn't it you just pick it up and then we bill?
Well, I think we need to let them know what the fee is before we do that.
Okay. Well, that you used to give them a letter, or put a letter in your mailbox or something that said, here's what it is.
Yeah. So
And if you don't pick up by a certain date, we're gonna do it and charge you this amount?
yeah, we can do it that
All
way.
right, fine.
What is that about?
I suggested 250, which is probably cheaper than having somebody do it, and or maybe not. I don't know. It's not. They're not large piles, and but I actually had them call me and say, just bill me. We don't care.
Does it mean you have to change the attachments on your truck to pick them up?
No, by hand. We just do it by hand. The trucks, we don't have the sanders on yet.
If I could just make a quick comment before you start. And that is, you've had this discussion multiple times about, whether you can be flexible, and you've been nothing but flexible for the entire 11 years I've worked with you, sometimes too nice. And I actually, without naming any names, had one person when I pointed out to them near my house that we would no longer have a brush, and the comment I got back was, I'm just going to have to pick it up and go. And you and I have talked multiple times about you do not want to be the local carting service, especially when there are a number of lawn service people in the area that would be just as easy for them to pick it up. So, if anything, I would like personally the fee to be at or considerably a little bit above what it would cost in order to be able to pick it up. I do not want it to be cheaper, because you don't need going to business yourself and the village to be able to be the default. Well, no, I don't want to bother calling so-and-so, I'll just have the village pick it up. You've got too much to do to put yourself in that situation. So that's...
Well, if there's a fee suggestion, let me know and I will convey it. And
Well, the alternative is we could just say to, we're gonna have a local landscaping business take care of it and they'll bill you or whatever.
okay, that's not a bad idea.
It's just your call. I agree with Mike, though. Let's not be, nickel and diamond people if it's making us, extra work that we're not set up for at the time.
Yeah, because then it'll just continue.
Yeah, I know, right.
That's fine.
Well, you decide, but I mean, if you want to use a separate landscaping company, do it.
Okay, if you feel that, like you said, you don't want the village going into the brush removal business,
Well, if it made a lot of money, I would be interested.
Yeah.
It's not like a big money maker.
But
It's more of a nuisance kind of a thing.
yeah.
And there'll always be a couple of residents who are just going to ignore any letters we send them, and then they're going to have some pain involved, and I don't apologize for that.
Yeah, no, they're people who are well aware of the rules.
Sure, okay.
They obviously
Let's go
know
on.
the rules. They said, I know the rule, I know brush season is over, but I'm putting it out anyway,
Okay.
and fine me, or bill me, or whatever.
Building, yeah, okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay, leaf season began on October 1st, ends on December 1st. All the rules and regulations pertaining to that have been put online and all the other various places, so people should be aware of that. And we have had some leaves already out, and we began picking them up. 5 stumps were removed by Out on the Limb this month. All the major trees that we had taken down. We posted signs on North Avenue, put up posted signs, I should say, on North Avenue, north of the bridge, I guess we've been having problems with kids going down by the water there and hanging out, a lot of garbage and things like that. So we put the no trespassing posted signs.
Yeah, it turns out we own those parcels over there. Across the bridge on the left-hand side,
Yes.
between the road and the creek. It's ours. And so there were evidently kids down there.
Yeah, there was evidence of it. You could see.
So we put up no trespassing signs.
So we put up quite a few
Yeah, okay.
on that side. I don't know how it's worked so far, but they're there. We came in after hours to remove a downed tree on Safari. Repaired some hydraulic couplings on the 2015 dump truck that connect to the Sanders. We cleared Valley Farm Road of some washed out stone from one of the past storms, and also picked up storm damage around the village. We had quite a few smaller limbs down, so we collected those. Rebuilt a catch basin on Fountain Place, and also replaced an entire catch basin on Fountain Place on the opposite side. Serviced the leaf vacuum for the season. We serviced our 2 generators in preparation for the winter. Delivered stone to the sewer plant and to Hitchcock Farms. That's basically recycled stone from the oil and stone on 9 Partners. Make better use of it. We also did our normal garbage pickup for the streets, and we began milling and paving of North Avenue. That was done yesterday. The milling. Paving was supposed to be done tomorrow, but the weather doesn't look like it's going to cooperate, so it will be done on Friday. I'd like to thank the town of Washington for helping us with the trucking of the millings. The millings are being recycled. They're going to be using them to mix in with their item 4 for a better sticking compound when they work on their dirt roads. So all the millings are being recycled and used mostly by them. I mean, we use them.
They store them on back in Church Avenue in the meantime?
Yeah, the rest of them, but most of it, this road had all gone to their
went straight
their
to the
yard,
road.
right?
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
they mixed them as they were
Nice.
being delivered.
Right.
So I want to thank them for that.
Good.
And like I said, there was no problems with the St. Joseph's or any of the other schools. It worked out fine. Everybody was patient and didn't disrupt any of the deliveries or the buses or anything like that.
Okay.
I don't anticipate that having a problem with the paving.
You just want everybody to change the date to Friday.
Yeah, yes, again.
Final days in school. Okay.
But Friday the weather looks okay, so
Okay. I'll do
finally
that.
should wrap it up. And it will make a huge difference.
Oh, yeah. Any questions for Bob? Trustees, anybody in the audience? No? Okay, thanks, Bob. Okay, Scott?
All right, start with the water for the month of September. Produced 4,961,789 gallons. Average daily flow is 165,390 gallons. Performed all monthly maintenance and sampling. Installed a new fire hydrant on Alden Place. We repaired water line of the Exmoor house and turned the water onto the building. We had all the alarms fixed at the water plant and tested, so they're now working properly. Fixed a down water meter at Cardinal Hayes, and we read all the water meters last month.
I was really happy with the way Arnold did their work. They were really customer centric. I think they were giving a lot of advance notice. They came back afterwards,
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. So I thought they did a really nice job. They were quick to in and out.
Yep, and very good.
Yeah, they were good. You used them before, you said, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Many
Okay.
times.
All right. And there's the monthly trend. Any questions for Scott for water?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Did you do a repair on Maple Avenue for a hydrant today or recently?
We were repairing a hydrant, replacing a hydrant, but it's been rescheduled. There was like 3 electric lines surrounding the hydrant, so we have to get a hydro back to get in there. We can't dig it with a machine safely.
Okay, yeah, I saw the disturbance and I looked
Yeah.
like you had.
Yeah, we
it
were.
was not in service. So.
Yeah, we have to buy. I don't have a date yet, but
Where's this at?
Maple Avenue by number 83.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yeah, up towards the corner there.
all right,
Thank you.
Yep.
all right, so,
All right. I'll preface the sewer numbers with the fact that our flow meter is not accurate. So the numbers are going to look lower than they actually are. So for the month of September, total effluent flow was 2,426,555 gallons. Average daily flow is 80,885. Precipitation was 6.2 inches. Performed all monthly maintenance and sampling. We had Fred Cook in town, and we flushed and cleaned 6,200 feet of sewer main. We were on Haight Avenue, Maple Avenue, Elm Drive, and Anson Avenue. Aerold Construction installed 482 feet of new cured-in-place pipe on Belletry Way, as the mayor mentioned. We had a leaking radiator on the generator has been repaired, and the generator is now working fine.
is it really, okay?
Yes.
So they sealed the generator up and the radiator?
Yep.
All right. Oldie but goodie.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with the meter? You're saying it's not working?
The flow meter, the numbers aren't accurate. I've spoken to our tech who takes care of that, and I'm waiting to hear back when he can come out. He's from New Jersey, so he's very busy.
Okay.
And we have started our annual sewer main camera inspections. We'll do more tomorrow.
Any questions for Scott regarding sewer? All right, thanks, Scott.
Welcome.
Okay, Sarah.
Do you want me to like read the bank balances, or do you want me to just see that they're right here?
What do you, yeah, they're right there. I mean, you don't see them. I think there's a copy of everybody.
Well, in the interest of saving a little time.
Sure. I like that. Any significant changes?
No,
Okay.
no. I will say, just for my treasurer and clerk report, the biggest thing is that taxes will be ending. Tax collection will be ending in October. October 31st is the last date I can receive taxes, and then they will be, the unpaids will be sent to the county, and then will be made whole in like the March area.
Okay.
So that's pretty much
Standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And we have about 19 unpaids, which is about average.
Okay.
So that's all I have for that report. And then for building, pretty standard month. 5 building permits issued.
Hang on, let's see. Back on this. What else? Oh, the new website is up and running. There's still bugs with it, but I don't know if you all tried to use the new website. It is more.
Yeah.
It's
It's
easier
good.
on the phone.
It is.
Yeah.
It sure is. Yeah.
But it's a little slower than in the past one, so I think it's going to take a while to get used to.
Yeah.
But if you see things that aren't, if you find out that something's missing, make sure you let Nicole or somebody know, just so she can check and see, because this stuff is being transferred from the old one to the new one, so things can get lost. Okay, good. All right, building report.
So for building, 5 building permits issued, 1 signed permit, 1 certificate of compliance, and 1 municipal search, for a total of $730 for fees collected.
Kind of slow. Okay.
Yeah. And that's about all I have for building, but we have that resolution for planning.
Oh, yeah, right, we'll discuss that later, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go on to new business. So, Buffy, tell us what's going on for Christmas decorations, including the trees.
The short version is we've secured trees.
Good job.
there is a Christmas tree shortage, but we managed to find a farm, and they gave us a really great rate, below last year's cost. I'm coordinating with Bob to actually go and pick those trees up, and we'll have a map and where those trees are going to him soon. And we're starting to go through all the Christmas tree lights right now to make sure we don't need to purchase any more. And we're looking for volunteers to help us put up lights on the trees.
So what are the dates for the tree delivery and?
Tree deliveries will be the 16th, 17th, and 18th. Bob's going to go over there, however many trips he needs to go and get those trees. And then we're going to put the lights up on the 18th and 19th, which is the week before Thanksgiving this year. So they will be ready to go before the Thanksgiving holiday.
18th and 19th is a weekend?
That's a weekend.
It's so great to have them up before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and Bob's picking up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
No, he's picking up on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Oh, okay. So I thought you said 16th, so it's 15th, 16th, and 17th he's picking up.
I'm sorry. Whatever day Bob wants to, really.
Yeah.
That's really basically what it is. I
And
just
Bob
need to
pick
give
them
the
up
guy a
and
heads
put them
up,
in.
and he will have them ready.
Yeah, we're gonna be, it's a little
We're gonna-
different from last year.
It's definitely a little different from last year. Bob and his crew have graciously volunteered or helping us out to make sure that we get Christmas trees and that they are put up so we can continue our tradition of lining Millbrook with Christmas trees.
Right.
So it's going to be a little probably more work on his end, and we're grateful that he has said it is no problem. So thank you, Bob.
All right, good. And how you getting volunteers for the?
Man, I have some more questions.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. Does every business get one? Like, how does that? Is it by
It just-
location, like the distance or something? Or?
Yeah, so we try to spread them out. Businesses, some businesses want them, some businesses don't want them. We try to hit all of the businesses and ask if they want a tree. If they want a tree, where do they want a tree? There are certain sections of town that
You do ask.
absolutely.
Because I heard that someone last year disposed of a village tree.
They did, but we went and they decided they didn't want it. So, it was a miscommunication between two people. It happens.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get a tree because I don't have anywhere to put it, so I just put up my own lights.
Yeah.
And the people on Franklin Avenue, the houses, they pay for the tree to reimburse the village for that, and they plug in the trees and all of that. Yeah. And volunteers, we're having Eric is helping me send out on social media. It'll be on, I was going to ask Sarah to post it on the website. We're just getting a little blurb put together. He actually sent something to me today to advertise for volunteers. Then we'll have a meeting place, and then we're going to assign the volunteers so many trees to go decorate. So they have exactly a little map where their tree is, and some businesses might want to decorate their own trees.
Mhm.
Some of them do.
All right.
So we're really trying to get it organized this year to sort of streamline it and make it easy, so you don't have people running all over the village with bags of lights and have no idea where to go. So
Good
people will be assigned trees and the whole bit. So
Very good.
Yeah.
What about the big tree down at Tree Gardens?
that I haven't gotten to yet.
Okay.
So
What's typically done? It seems like it's a
it's
donated
donated.
tree.
It is donated. I was going to reach out again to Rob Dyson, who donated last year, to see if he'd like to do it again.
All right.
And if he does not, I have a couple of other people on my list to keep.
He donated the tree.
He did.
Had his guys set it up and actually had it lit too,
Yep.
right?
He did the whole. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Have you contacted Mr. Murphy yet to see if he's doing the one at the top of the?
They are.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. No, I have not contacted him, but that says now we have an answer.
There you go.
So that's great. Thanks, Pat. So yeah, I was going to reach out to Rob and ask if you'd like to donate the tree at the tribute garden.
All right, good. Any questions about the Christmas decorations?
And
Looks
I
like they
was,
got it under control there.
I think we should propose a tribute garden. Maybe we plant a tree there. I don't know.
I've asked that so many times.
It's so crazy.
They just don't want it.
They don't want it there.
I thought Matt doesn't like the the transplanted tree. You would prefer one, no?
He probably does, but for some reason.
Oh, it's not him, okay.
I've suggested it, I don't know how many times.
I don't know.
All right.
No, there was never. No, it's not.
Never tree there.
No.
It just seems like it would, anyway.
Even-
Good.
Just something else to work on.
I even suggested decorating one of the big ones behind the manger, and they didn't want to do that either.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, those are nice
Those are
trees.
beautiful. Those
Yeah.
trees are perfectly shaped.
Yeah.
You do one in the middle there, but I guess it's not.
Not quite in the
You can't
middle,
see
yeah.
it from the avenue, so.
All right.
We'll keep working on it.
All right, good, thanks. Seal, we're talking about parade of lights?
Yeah. So to go along with that, we're gonna have a parade of lights, and we're working together closely with the town this time.
Can she be, should you stand up here so they can hear you? On the camera?
Nobody else has to say. All right,
Who else is on
so,
the table?
what?
Who else is on the table?
I was late.
Oh, that's right, you're right.
Yeah.
I stand
yeah,
corrected.
yeah.
If I sit down,
Here.
let's sit down.
It doesn't matter, yeah, thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Have a
For
seat.
standing up for me. Stand up. So anyway, so it's going on December 2nd, and the new town director, his name I don't even know, I tried to look on the website. Danielle.
The recreation
She
director,
wants
yeah.
to work together, because I guess it's all new for her, to do the Santa meet and greet, but we were gonna do the same times, 5 p.m., followed by the parade of lights. So I wanna we have a lot more time this year, we're starting now. We wanna get greater participation from all the different organizations. Many of whom promised that they would do a float this year, so
Right.
I'll get back to them. I'm gonna form a committee again, maybe get a few more people this year. Danielle wants to be on the committee to work with us to plan everything. So if anybody's interested, they should call the village hall or me. And I guess Sarah Nicola put my number on there. I'll talk, she'll do that, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you give her a blurb that you wanted to put on there, she can do that.
I will
no
do
problem.
that.
What's the date again? Sorry.
December 2nd. So I want to get volunteers a lot more this year. So I've just requested from the library to participate in the library volunteer fair, which is October 22nd, and it'll be a perfect, I could have a little table and put on for the tree lighting too.
All right.
You know, get some names. So I'll be happy to do that, Buffy. It goes together nicely.
Okay.
All right? I mean, I'm hoping they'll let me do it. I think they will. And then I'm going to go to Interact. I'm going to beg the participants not to throw candy from the trucks because it's just a huge mess. The cleanup committee, which was Tim and Vicki and me, mainly Tim, had to scrape the streets literally because it's danger. So I want to have kids like from Interact Club, maybe. I had a lot of ideas for people to get. To dress up, to give out candy, and we'll pass it. They can even throw it towards the kids, but not from the trucks, so that it won't be in the street. So already I've talked to some people, and they'll get kids for us to do.
Yeah, the problem there is throwing from the truck, not all of it makes it to the curb and to the kids.
No, and then the kids get excited, and it's not many. We had a lot of volunteers last year guarding the streets, but we were busy guarding the streets. So I just, if something happened, it would be a terrible tragedy. So I just think we could handle throwing candy to the kids, having the excitement of Christmas candy, and just make it safer. That's what I want to do. And then I'll work with Nicole again. I want to put up a lot more advertisement on the website this year. I looked at like how they've done it in other communities. And then I need parents. I found a couple last year who got some kids to be in the kids parade, but we need more. I'd like to get a little army of kids to drive up the street. So, Peter, maybe you and I can talk. You've got a person who qualifies in your house.
Indeed.
So, I had those really nice parents. I have their names at home who did a lot, but they couldn't find enough kids, and we only had 2 weeks or so to do that. So, maybe you and I can work on that, and we'll get more kids. And so, just spread the word that we need volunteers and participants. And make sure people know. I got a lot of complaints that people didn't know about it last year.
Yeah, we've also already gotten calls at the hall about it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to Nicole. We'll get something
So
up.
we're all saying December 2nd, 6 o'clock. I got to amend it with this. 5 o'clock is for Santa.
Yeah.
The meeting
And then
with Santa.
same thing. They'll light up the tree at 6.
Right, and
And
then
then
start the parade.
the fire department has agreed to help, and they'll take
So it really starts at 5, and the parade starts at 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I have people who are volunteering to play music and things like
Very
that.
good.
So,
So
should be good.
you got more time to organize this.
Yeah, I have a lot more time.
All right, any questions for Seal? All right, thanks.
Sure.
Okay, Peter, you want to give us an update on the Airbnb? I know that you guys are just starting this. I assume
Yeah.
you're working with Buffy. She was on the town's thing, right? I want to make sure that she's in the loop so we don't reinvent things with the town. But anyway, so what's going on with you?
I'd like to hear Buffy's thoughts on that. I guess just to answer your first question, Buffy did send me some materials. I know Sarah's looking at some more state municipal materials. I'm looking at like local municipalities like Red Hook, Beacon, Kingston, seeing how they're doing it.
Oh, okay.
I think some of the policies have a lot in common. A lot just kind of have an outright ban on non-owner occupied.
Which I kind of like,
which I tend to like too.
Oh, good.
Some have, most have a registration fee to some extent, a registration process, so you can track them, you know where they are. And then some also have limitations on stays for up to a period of the year, like no more than 30 days at one time for only 100 days per year.
Okay.
I think some of those are great. Some of those maybe going too far, but I'll reach out to Buffy more when I get into the weeds on it. I think our policy, and correct me if I'm wrong from your perspective, I think our policy should be obviously separate from the town. We're a different municipality. We have different sort of issues. There might be similarities and overlap, but I think our policy, and it would stand on its own, separate from the town.
Actually, it's going to end up being a local law, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So we'll put it in there. Buffy, any comments from your end?
No, pretty much what Peter was saying. We've heard feedback from the public on what they would like to see put in place. So I think we should look at that from the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee. I am looking into. Someone told me that towns can actually not regulate Airbnbs and only like villages, and I don't know if that's true or not, so I haven't had time to look into that.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right? So
you would, and the towns wouldn't, or what?
Right, or something. Yeah. So something to look into there, because I think that we have to work with the town to make sure that if they're going to put something in place, that we can work together to make sure that our local law and their local law are similar. But yeah, there's a lot to consider. I think it's necessary to have the short-term rentals, especially because we don't have places for people to stay when they come to visit, families, friends, people in school. But there definitely needs to be some type of regulation set in place.
Right. I really don't care one way or the other, except that it's happening, so we may as well get in front of it.
Yeah, and
are we going to tax it?
Once it's on the books, we can get revenue.
Yeah,
from the
so we are going to tax them?
A lot of municipalities have registration fees, penalties for not obeying it, obviously, and other sort of potential revenue streams.
But the county makes an Airbnb register, and they track them.
And they tax them. Right?
And they tax them,
Yeah.
and then part of that taxes comes back to us.
Yeah.
So that's important.
Currently?
Yes.
They pay a hook up tax.
Yes. Tax. But if we don't have anything on the books, we're not actually getting any of that revenue.
So not
we have. The county is taxing every single.
Counties now, right?
Every
So
single.
we don't see any of that. Right
We don't see
No,
any of that
right.
right now. That's just
all,
it. Yeah. So we have to have it on the books in order to see some of that revenue.
Right.
So that's important because.
All right, so question to you guys, is this going to be difficult to put together, or do you have enough out there of people, or municipalities already engaged that you can pull together?
Sarah sent us a lot of information and different laws that are on books in different municipalities and villages that I think that we could sort of go through and look at to see, you know, what would work, what wouldn't work.
Have you
You know.
spoken to Nikon? Okay,
Yes,
that's,
she sent
yeah,
us a whole-
Nikon can be a good
Yeah.
resource. for
Okay.
things like that.
All right,
She
good.
sent us a whole PowerPoint presentation on that. She was very thorough.
Good.
So I think the plan for the next meeting, or 2 meetings from now, we'll continue to do our own sort of research, and then eventually come together and have a proposed set of
All right, good.
rules, I guess. And
All right. You pick the time frame. Doesn't have to be right away. You do it at the pace that you can do a good job,
Yeah.
and when you're ready, bring it forward. All right.
sounds good.
What you should do is, why don't you put together something and have a draft for like the trustees to look at before we get Ian involved? Because one time
We're trying to limit Ian's
Yeah.
bill here. No
Yeah.
offense, Ian.
Thank you.
Understood.
All right, good. Thanks. All right, let's move on. Oh, the next thing is the resolution for the allowing town residents to hook into our sewer system. So where is that? What's this outdoor dining thing? This is this on the agenda?
I think it is, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the form that goes with the outdoor dining.
Oh, that's one of the
That's the one,
changes
yeah.
to the zoning. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
We'll come back to that.
So you're talking about 2214. That's resolution 14. If you can-
14?
Yeah.
2214. Okay, good. So this is a resolution we've been talking about to allow town residents that meet the criteria identified inside the resolution to hook up to the village sewer system. We've been through before. I think we had some questions or some requests to update the criteria. Any questions about this before we actually go to the resolution part?
Yes.
Yes.
So I know you're somewhat up to speed, Mayor, on some of the more recent developments here. Additional information has kind of come to light to me recently regarding, specifically regarding the lots that are mentioned in the Hurley letter, going back to 2010.
Okay.
And going all the way back to 87 when these sewer lines were installed. And what it seems from my reading of all the information were that, the pre-approved Hurley lots, I'm just going to refer to them as that, the lots in the letter,
Yep.
would not be that were kind of automatically approved into the village sewer system. And as such, my reading of the situation is that to have these fees that are in this proposed resolution applied to those lots, it's not a fair reading of the situation, and I think it opens up the village to potential legal liability down the line as well, to whoever owns those lots, either now or in the future. And moreover, this Maple Hill sewer extension and the other sewer lines in South Millbrook were performed by a private contractor who's here tonight and donated to the village. So to, I think, penalize, especially the Hurley lots after the fact, it seems rather unfair in my opinion.
Well, first off, the Hurley letter says that they have the approval to be hooked up. They don't say anything about the fees.
Understood.
And this was a discussion we had, I guess it predated you, when Howard came forward with the request to approve the hookup of both water and sewer, which the Hurley letter really allows both water and sewer hookup.
Right.
Which is unique, and we're very protective of our water. But anyway, the Hurley letter allows that to happen. But the board agreed to do that with the conditions that there would be a fee associated with it, both for water and sewer. And that resolution was passed, I'm going to say a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever. Okay, so we've already gone by that, and the board has agreed, the prior board has agreed to allow those hookups to occur with the condition of the fees that we have assigned to them, which are similar to, I think, exactly equal to what are on the fees here. Okay.
I wanted to point out that these fees were not arbitrarily hit from a dartboard or something else. We specifically asked Delaware Engineering to do a comparative analysis for us on what basically out of town or out of district.
There's only one district, though. There is only one district. I know they're in the town, but there is only one
Yeah,
sewer
one
and water
district, but
district.
they're in the town, not the village.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that we asked for some kind of guideline or some kind of what was being charged in other areas for hookups of this nature, and the figures that we have here reflect exactly that. This is basically middle of the road if you go to any other water treatment or sewer provider. In this case, this is middle of the road of exactly what's being charged anywhere else. So this is not, and it's not a penalty. This is exactly the kind of thing that that is out there and has been charged before, and basically protects the village in terms of making sure that what we're doing and what we're charging is not going to encourage others in the future to be able to put in their own line and then say, well, there's no reason why you basically shouldn't service us. We cannot on a long-term basis service the entire town. And the fact that we had an agreement with the contractor who owned the property to be able to have these current ones on Manor Drive taken care of was done in good faith on an ethical basis, because there was a letter that said they've been approved. And these fees simply reflect exactly what you would charge if you went to any other water provider in Dutchess County or nearby to be able to do the same kind of hookup.
And these fees also reflect exactly what we charged the Greenbrier facility to get hooked up when they were in that crisis situation where their septic field failed.
So this is not anything that would not stand legal challenge. It's nothing that would come out of the blue. This is done on a very competitive rate.
I don't disagree with practically anything you just said. I don't think it's a penalty. I don't think the fee schedule is not pulled out of thin air. Obviously, no. Bill and Delaware were intimately involved. I think we're overlooking the fact about, and it didn't come to light for me until very recently as well. So that my voicing these issues is at a late hour. I apologize for that. I think the Hurley letter kind of stands separately than other parcels that potentially have the ability to hook up to village sewer. I think that's one point. And I think to charge town residents these much more exorbitant fees for sewer lines that are actually newer and are in much better shape than probably village sewer lines for, again, the same district, I think it doesn't just make sense. Just kind of looking at it, it doesn't why are they paying so much more than anyone in the village?
Well, because it's allowing them to avoid having to put in place a septic system, which would cost thousands of dollars, and the cost to them, if they have sewer hookup and not water, since there's no meter, is about $225 a year for them to have a sewer service that replaces the septic system. So they're getting a great deal by hooking into the system.
And this is part of an
and there are infrastructure costs that we have to offset by the users. So
this is an investment. It's almost like an entrance fee to be able to down the road make sure that we can maintain the sewer system and make sure that we can try to fix the infrastructure. We've spent between $2 and $3 million as it is doing water improvements, and we're looking at $7 million to be able to do the sewer treatment plant. And to say, well, this is not appropriate because look at how much they'd have to pay for a new hookup. This is going to be investment for the future, as the mayor just pointed out. They will have very, very less amount of money they're gonna have to pay in the future to be able to be part of a sewer hookup or a water hookup.
So Skip, I know you're an impartial observer. Once again.
Yeah, I'd like to say a few words.
Sure.
I'm the fellow you're referring to.
We all know that.
Sewer line.
We know it.
Have a seat. That's fine.
We did that, as you've been talking about it, Peter made known 35 years ago. We met yesterday.
Right.
I gave Tim a book.
I've got a copy, yeah.
I'd like to have the rest of the board have the book.
Sure.
I gave Peter one earlier.
I warn you guys, everyone takes a book, there'll be a test at the end.
There'll be a test tomorrow morning. Okay. All right. I didn't see the attorney over there. We mentioned the one. I don't have an extra one, but I will. It was built in 1987, like I say. It seems to me, I put this together not because of anything on these fees or anything else. I quite frankly didn't know about this resolution until yesterday afternoon. I did not know. This thing was put together on the premise of the meeting that we discussed yesterday that you would have with the town, where there were confusion as to where locations were for laterals and so on and so forth. Scott was not at the meeting. He probably could have explained most of it when he was there, as he said last yesterday. However, I put this thing together. I went through some old file boxes from 1987. Mr. Schumann knows, okay, very well what happened, what went on back in those days. And in there are the minutes of the board meeting of 1987. There's a negative declaration declaring the sewer line not a big issue. It's all documented, and it's made expressly for the 8-lot subdivision on Maple Hill Drive, with the provision that people along the way that had existing septic systems could hook up. That's the way it was put together. It's all in the old documents are there, the approvals are there.
So Skip, it boils down to the issue is the fee, the connection fee, right?
Right, because
let's just talk
I
about
feel
that.
as though I paid my fee.
Okay.
Okay.
I
It should be
feel as though
exempt from extra fees now or in the future.
Okay.
By
I think
virtue of
you made an
providing these
investment
services
as a business.
for nothing to the village. It was sold properly at the Dutchess County Office Building in 1991.
That's a connection. That's not
I had sold half the line to the Dutchess County. We had a simultaneous closing where the county bought half the line from me, and I in turn and the county sold it to the village of Millbrook for $1. It's all in here, it's all documented. That, if I may, attorneys, is my quid pro quo. For that I expect the hookups had no cost. I expected that then, and it would go on forever. And it was verified with Miss Hurley's letter back in 2010. As far as hookups and what have you, there are no hookups to be had. They're already made. The laterals are already in. They're all hooked up. They were all supervised by the engineers back then.
All I'm saying is that
now,
the criteria we used when we hooked up Greenbrier.
I don't know a thing about Greenbrier. I'm just talking about this property.
I'm telling you, it's consistent with
but
what we
just
did with
let me
Greenbrier.
finish what
Sure.
I'm talking about, and you can talk about Greenbrier and we'll talk about it. But it was put together back then for the purpose of serving that area. It seems as though, here's the thing. What are we talking about here? We're talking about a sewer line that goes from Bennett College down Halcyon Road, crosses over Old Route 82 into Maple Hill Drive, okay, and into the 8 lots that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
There are 8 vacant lots that are serviced. Now, who else is to be serviced? We went over that yesterday. There's probably 6 lots other than those 8. Or 9, I'm sorry, the 9 I'm talking about. There's 9 on that list of Mayor Hurwitz. One is Mr. Schumann's, who was mine, it was sold to him through Jerry Sargent, who bought from me. Okay. What are we talking about here? Nobody else can get on this main. The thing is clearly stated as to who can get on the main, just those that are close to it and adjacent to it. Someone else that would have to have a sewer system hooked up to the sewer system would have to build another main down there. And you know they'd have to come here for approvals on that, and you would either say yes or no, and that would be it. But we're talking about, at max, 14 properties here. Okay? And 3 or 4 of them are so far below grade they can't even pump to them. One of them is the Ryder Bus Garage's parking lot. That's never going to be developed. So, I mean, but here you are. That's all we're talking about. And you're putting these exorbitant fees on. And I don't believe I should be made to pay for them. And, you know, it's as simple as that. As far as Greenbrier is concerned, Greenbrier was a commercial entity. You're talking about residences here. Big difference. You're talking about people that are going to own a lot.
Use the same criteria. Number of bedrooms times the number of...
That's a commercial business making money. The nursing home. It's a commercial business making money. It's a whole different ballgame.
Well, I think it's extreme.
You use their formula
no hookup
of figuring down.
And have them pay $225 a year for the sake of having a sewer system.
Well, I mentioned to you a way to remedy that yesterday.
That's not...
Putting a meter on a well.
Okay, it's not a game plan.
Yeah, but you can.
Well, they could, yeah.
You should do that.
Well,
it's the only correct way of doing it.
Yeah,
you
what
water
is
meter on the well.
Put a meter on the well.
Simple as that. It was talked about back then. It was never done.
I didn't know about that.
That's not going to happen because we could have every resident in the entire village. And it's come up. No, my turn. It's come up many times before that residents of the village bring up the issue and say, well, you know, you should have a separate meter for the sewer because what I get out of water doesn't always automatically go back into the sewer. And that's not the case. So we're not going to be doing that. No. We're not going to go down that road.
Well, it would be the same as putting it on the village water pipe, same difference. But the thing is, you would never get, there are some people that are on sewer that don't have water. So you do have a problem there. You have to go with the estimated system you have, unfortunately. What I'm asking the board is, I think tonight is, you had mentioned yesterday that you give me time to speak with the engineer, sit down with him and all. I'm asking you to table this for a time that we can get another good full discussion on this.
I've actually called Bill Bright today. He didn't return my call, but yeah, he's the guy who came up with this criteria that was used for Greenbrier, that we're using here, and I think is the fair number to be used. Okay.
But I'd like to talk to him and see the reason behind it, all that. And also, though, as far as just looking at it, I don't believe I should be charged anything.
Yeah, I understand.
I provided all these services for everyone.
My position is,
been a lot of revenue
my position
from
is you're the developer, and what we're charging is the homeowner, which is a different entity.
I absorb the cost for the homeowner.
No, that's your financial business, okay?
That's your financial
homeowner
business
is being charged.
And you're gonna, these lots are still yours. You're gonna sell them to someone else, and you're gonna take the money that it takes, if you wanna be kind, of the $6,270 and put it on that price, or they can pay it when they choose to hook up.
No, it's going to happen the other way, Mike. They're going to take it off my price.
Oh, please.
That's what they're going to do.
With the current
live
values,
they have to pay $14,000.
So Skip, we got your point.
Okay.
Any trustees want to comment about this? I mean, in my mind, this is the document we should approve. If someone wants to come forward and say, no, we should take the fees out, I think we should just abort the whole thing. This was initiated by a town resident who wanted to hook in. And in my mind, I said, if we're going to allow her to hook in, then we should allow the precedent to be, available to all. Right. Now, if the board can't agree that this is the resolution, then I think we should table the whole thing.
Tim, that party that you're talking about does not go along with the premise that the line was built on. It said people with previous septic systems would be allowed to hook on.
No, we're actually getting a request from a person who purchased a lot, the person.
Yes, but they have no
previous septic. Who's along a main.
Yes,
and requested to hook into it.
Right. Okay. So in that case, I would think you're within your means to to charge a fee. Because the way the original sewer line was intended, if you read the negative declaration, it's the eight lots or 9 lots of the Maple Hill subdivision, plus those along the way that have a septic system and want to get on, not vacant lots. That's the way it's written. So vacant lots, if you got to charge a fee, you charge a fee.
I don't see the difference.
Yeah, I don't see the difference.
Well, it's in the reading. Read it.
No, I don't.
No.
You can read it.
What's read what?
No, Ian, don't read anything.
Okay.
You know, the document for the original approval.
All right, so let's just go to the trustees.
It approved.
All right, so Skip. Let's go through it with the trustees. Vicki, what do you think?
I think we should approve this because we had already approved the hookup for the woman who came forward.
Well, this actually approves it for her, allows her to do the hookup. We previously approved such a hookup for Howard's son, I guess, in a lot up there.
But we,
That's what we
in
previously approved.
essence, created the expectation to her that it would be
Yes, I did.
approved. So I think we have to move forward.
My contention is that he didn't need approval.
Well, okay, that's.
Approval was already done.
We had the
It's already
discussion
done.
over a year.
35 years ago.
Okay. So, Mike, what is your take?
My take is this is precedent setting, and as far as I'm concerned, we've been through this and we've already had 2 cases, and it's something that it stands alone very well all by itself.
Okay, Peter, where are you?
Did Howard's son already pay or already?
No.
Nothing was done.
We passed a resolution that said if his son builds and wants to hook up, here's the conditions and includes the fees.
If this resolution passes, would his son have to pay the same based on this, or is it already grandfathered in without this?
No, he would pay the same.
He did the same. It's a separate resolution, right? Because it was on that Laura Hurley made it.
But he wouldn't have to pay until he built.
Right.
I just think, and I understand this other party, is trying to hook up.
Right.
I think we should table this discussion for Bill to provide a sort of clearer, because I'm not an expert in this stuff, by any stretch, and
I'm willing to do that for Skip's sake, to do that, to table it for a month. I don't expect Bill to have any different analysis than what he's already provided to us 3 times now.
And also, I want to.
So that's fine. Buffy, what do you think?
I don't know. We hired this engineer. He's done his research. I know that we went back and we talked about, the Hurley lots and so forth, and we decided that this is how we wanted to proceed. So, moving forward, I think that.
All right. So does anybody on the board have a problem with us tabling it to next month so I can have this meeting as Skip has requested? I think Skip deserves that. I don't expect any.
I think so. I just found out about this thing yesterday.
I know. That's why I say I think
didn't know
he
anything
deserves
about a
that.
resolution. No one ever contacted me that these lots were in play with a resolution.
I'll counter that.
No, we talked about it. You never said there was going to be a resolution.
We had a discussion in your truck.
That's
we looked
right.
at the entire property. You knew the figure. You knew all of the
No, I
details.
never knew the figure, and I never knew that you made a resolution a year
That's
ago.
a lie, because you mentioned this to
That's
me
a
in
lie.
my truck.
You made a resolution on July of 2021
Time out, guys. Look, we're agreeing.
that I was never told
Hey,
about.
look, I'm recommending we table this to
I was
next
never
month.
told about it. Don't stand there and lie to me.
I
Hey,
told
Skip.
you about it and told you
No,
about
you
it
didn't.
in your truck.
You
in
said
your
there may
presence.
be fees coming on. I said you shouldn't be
Bull.
doing fees.
You knew
Well,
exactly this.
I never saw that piece of paper till yesterday.
Okay, you guys got a time out here.
That's
All right, come on, time out.
We're tabling it for a month.
Let's table it for a
Not
month.
till yesterday.
Okay, fine, Skip. All right, trustees, anybody got a problem with table it for a month? I'll bring it back next month after we're having a meeting as Skip was requested with the engineer.
I'd appreciate that.
No problem. All right,
Thank you.
and you all got to read this book.
There's interesting history in here too.
It's confusing as all get out, but okay.
It gives
You're
you
a lawyer,
a
maybe it's
gives you the whole
confusing.
background of the whole.
Okay, thanks, Skip. Got it.
You're gonna make more books?
More books.
Scott needs one, Ian needs one.
I thought you were the one here that actually would read it.
All right, where are we on the agenda? Sarah, get us back.
We have two other resolutions.
I'd gladly do it.
You've seen every document.
Okay, we're done with this one. Let's move on. Well, we got two other resolutions.
No, I'm gonna give him one, for real.
Okay.
You gonna have mine, that's yours.
Okay.
No, I brought an extra.
He said he was gonna hide
All right,
what he needs.
Skip, we're moving on.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
All right, so the next item on
book
the,
over to Scott.
the next item on the agenda are two changes to the zoning law that we want to make. One of them is to specify the outdoor dining requirements, correct?
Yes.
And the second one is to require items going through the planning board to have a public notice on the lot.
Correct.
For the
Planning board and zoning board,
Right.
public hearing notices to be.
You guys gotta keep it quiet back there, okay, so we can meet on. Where is that in here?
So 22-12 is the zoning and planning board change
Here it is,
for the
got
public
it.
hearings.
Okay. Now, this is actually the resolution for us to, board to approve so we can go to public hearing next month,
Correct.
all right? Trustees, I don't understand that?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so, Ian, is there a Reader's Digest way we can get to this? Or
There is. So this is a resolution to introduce local law number 2
That's right.
of 2022. And it's a local law to add the requirement that public hearings regarding land use applications be advertised on signs posted on the property subject to the application. Your village code already has the requirement that, for land use applications that are subject to a public hearing be advertised typically in the newspaper.
Plus certified mail to neighbors.
Correct,
right.
to the neighbors.
So this is in addition to that.
This would be in addition to that, and it requires that a sign be posted on the property itself. A lot of municipalities have a similar provision in their zoning code. So this local law just amends the sections of the zoning law that contain the requirements for advertising public hearing to include this new requirement that the advertisement include posting of a sign on the property.
All right, good. So let's go to the first page, and it says that I called the meeting to order, and I'd like a trustee to make a motion, and then another trustee to second it. So get a motion
So moved.
from Peter, and then a second by
Second.
Buffy. All right. To move the following resolution to introduce the proposed law. Now we can go to page 4, section 5. Shall take effect as of the date of the filing with the Secretary of State. It will be necessary to hold a public hearing upon this proposed law. So again, I'd like Trustee Doro to offer the resolution.
So moved.
And seconded by Trustee Arbogast.
Second.
Okay. And then on October 12th, can I get a trustee to offer to introduce the local law?
I will.
Trustee Herzog? Okay. And the requirement for a public hearing.
So that the notice of public hearing
Here's the notice
is
of public hearing.
in the resolution itself.
Now, we did take a vote on this resolution, right? So with
Yes, I
second,
have
roll
that
call.
here. Yep. Mayor Collopy?
Aye.
Trustee Herzog?
Aye.
Trustee Cantino? Trustee Arbogast?
Aye.
Trustee Doro?
Okay, good. All right, so that is step 1 of the resolution,
Yep.
moving us to a public hearing next month.
Correct.
And Sarah takes care of all the public notifications.
Yep.
All right, good.
And then the next resolution is to introduce local law number 3 of 2022. And that's creating a new chapter of Article 10 of the Village Code, creating a new section 230-75 containing regulations for outdoor dining on village sidewalks. This has been discussed by the board. You're essentially doing this already. What this local law does is it provides objective requirements that restaurant owners in the village need to comply with in order to have outdoor dining on village sidewalks. So there is a permit that they would have to obtain from the village building inspector, and this local law contains all the conditions that they're required to meet in order to obtain the permit.
Now Buffy, you are actually a customer of this, so what is your take on this?
I read it over. I think it looks good. I mean, number 17, outdoor dining shall be allowed between April 1st and November 1st. I mean, sometimes I know I have tables out a little bit further than that, but it's not actually out on the sidewalk. It's out on the part that the landlord owns.
Well, you know what? I'd like you as the president of the MBA to take this to the MBA and the associated parties and review it with them and make sure that you've got all their inputs. All right? Can you do that?
Yeah. I mean, the MBA is struggling right now. It doesn't have a lot of meetings and so forth, but I would, if you email this to me, I'd be happy to send it out to the members and the dining. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Actually, those who are currently using outdoor dining.
Yeah, I can take this to Barbaro, Les Beaux, the diner.
Perfect.
Yeah, so if you get me some copies of it, Sarah, I'd be happy to pick them up and hand deliver them to go through them. I mean,
how many copies do you need?
You bought outdoor dining? 10. Great. 10's a great number.
Okay, good.
I think it's more than enough.
All right, so given that, I'd like to proceed with passing this resolution that allows us to get to a public hearing next month. All right? All right, so go to the first page. I call the meeting to order. I'd like a trustee to make a motion.
So moved.
Trustee Doro made a move and seconded by Trustee Herzog. Okay. Introduce the following proposal, known as local law number 3. And the details are in there. Let's go to page 5. All right. And Mayor Collopy says it will be necessary to hold a public hearing. I'd like a motion by a trustee.
So moved.
Trustee Doro offered the resolution, which was seconded by Trustee Contino. Whereas on November 9th, Trustee Doro will introduce as a local law. All right. And resolve that a public hearing will be held prior to us voting to approve this. And the clerk will take care of the public hearing notice as before. And can we get a roll call of the trustees?
Mayor Collopy?
Aye.
Trustee Herzog?
Aye.
Trustee Contino?
Aye.
Trustee Arbogast?
Aye.
Trustee Doro?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Okay, that moves us to a public hearing next month for both of those items, all within the zoning code.
That's on the 9th, right?
And that's going to be November 9th.
Okay, just so I can make sure I tell everyone
Good.
that I'm handing this out.
All right, Ian, we're okay?
Yep.
Good. Let's go back to the agenda. Now, do you want to go through the rest of the stuff? How late are we? It's 8 o'clock. Let's just do a quick walkthrough. I've got an item on here about a proposed sign for the village hall. I sent you out a copy of what it will look like. It will be similar to the signs at the entrance to the village. And the idea would just be to notify people where the village hall is, which is a source of constant frustration, I would say, by people. Any questions about that? $1,400 would be the cost. I could propose that we would use money from the Consolidated Trust Fund, which is still sitting around $40,000 to pay for it. And what I would like to do is, I think I'll also include this in the email I sent to you, use that as a forum to include a QR code so that residents or visitors could come and pull up information that's relevant to the village on the website.
Where would this sign be put?
It would be put right in front of the village hall, to the right or the left of the walkway. It would be the smallest version of the one I sent you. It would be unlighted. All right.
Wood? What's it made?
Wood. Yes, made of wood. It would be the green background and the gold inlaid, wood, whatever.
Same guy who made Welcome to Millbrook sign.
Yes.
Same company.
Any thoughts?
I think it's attractive, I think it's fine, I think it serves a useful purpose because as Sarah and Nicole pointed out to me, they said nobody can see the sign above the door, so it's almost like it's non-existent, so
Right.
it makes perfect sense.
Any other thoughts?
Okay.
The only idea I had was if we could, if we could potentially use a like a local person as opposed to like a company, but I don't know how hard it would be to.
It would be nice. I want it to be consistent, and that's why Bob suggested we use the same guys that use those other signs.
Yeah.
So, Buffy.
I don't have a problem with it.
No.
Sounds like a nice addition to the village, and I know that Sarah and Nicole are constantly getting inundated with people coming in asking if they're the DMV or the town hall or where they take the test or whatever. So.
That's right.
Then I'd like to make a motion that we proceed to purchase the sign that's in this graphic, smallest version of the sign. We then have it installed. The cost covers installation as well. For $1,400, using money from the Consolidated Trust Fund. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Let's move on. Old business sidewalk replacement. Mike, can we get some update there?
Sure. I spoke with Brian Houston and with Peter Sanders this morning. Brian Houston is working on a survey of Franklin Avenue for us for the sidewalk area because it's one of the required elements for the state DOT to approve the plans that they hope putting into place, that Rennie Engineering is putting into place, as well as making sure that we are prepared for all 4 phases of moving on with sidewalk repair in the future. So he's been working on it today. He needed some information from Rennie Engineering that I found out from Peter in a later phone call that they provided him. So
Peter Sander from Rennie Engineering.
Yeah. So I anticipate with my conversation with Brian that he's going to complete this relatively quickly, and that we'll be able to move on. I've set up a meeting for November 1st to have another walkthrough with Rennie Engineering and anyone else who's going to be involved in the sidewalk restoration, and so.
I see that Scott's already outlined the meters that he wants to replace when they dig up the sidewalk. That's good.
Right. Yeah. We Scott and I walked all of it. He pointed out that, and we also talked about plans on possible repairs that he might want to make that extend going into the street slightly in order to be able to look at meters and how they extend in, which would go right in tune with curb repair, where they always take out an approximate 2-foot section, and then they end up repaving it after the curb
that makes
repair
sense. Blacktop.
Yeah, blacktop goes back after the curb repair is done. So we're pretty much all set with that. And next step in the project would be getting signed contracts from the county, which to my knowledge we haven't received yet, but that's typical in how this
So you're
done.
gonna call there to ask where they're at?
So I can call and find out when we can expect the contracts and do that before next.
Sarah, this is a question for you and Karen. The county's going to pay us $100,000 to do this work, up to $100,000, but they don't pay us until after the work is done. And I want to know if we can use some of the unrestricted fund balance as upfront money. In other words, we've got to be able to pay these contractors as they do work, but we're not going to get reimbursed until after the project's done. So we need to know that we have cash flow that we're going to be able to use to be able to keep this job running once it starts.
Yeah.
So could you talk to Karen to see if there's something available for us to be able to do that?
Yeah.
I don't want to take a loan out.
I'll see. I'm not sure what the logistics are, so I will ask her.
Please do that. Okay. I don't want to take out a loan, but I want to be able to make sure we've got cash flow to keep the project running, as opposed to getting stuck with, we want reimbursement, we don't have the money for you. County won't give us their allotted funds. We're going to make sure that's lined up.
Yeah, we have the first bill that we can submit credit for, and that is the money we've already spent through the engineer to do the preliminary application and everything else. We can get back a portion of that.
Okay, fine.
We have to file that in the next month and a half, or else we're not necessarily eligible.
Okay, fine.
Do they withhold reimbursement until you're finished with the project, or can you get it on a rolling basis?
It depends. You can get it on a rolling basis, but you have to be able to submit invoices and bills to show what part is actually done. So in other words, the whole
the pre-engineering, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Theoretically, can get.
I can get the pre-engineering, but for instance, with most things like money, we're going to be spending money ourselves. This is not going to be strictly paid for by the county by any means. So that fees that we might incur from Ian by looking over the procurement policies and then setting up the bids. There's a whole line of people along the way that we might have to use that we'd have to pay the bill for, and basically they'll pay up to $100,000. So for any of the things we submit.
All right, fine. Let's move on now. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else for sidewalk?
Not for sidewalk. No.
Okay, good. So, Deputy Mayor, you and Trustee Arbogast are working on the B&T chapter?
Yes. Should I just turn straight over to you?
Sure. I mean, we're pretty much done.
Oh, all right.
We've gone, met several times, we've gone over everything. I'm not sure what the next step is.
Well, I guess in my mind, the next step would be for you to give us a copy, give all the trustees a copy of a draft, let's call it, of what the chapter, because this is an entire chapter you're talking about replacing, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of detail.
It's a big thing.
It's a lot of detail,
Right.
so I think it would be good. I mean, we have most of it already, like on paper, what we'd like to change and so forth, so I can send it over. I'll send it to Jared one more time to have him go through it.
Fine.
Make
But
sure
just
we
get a
have
copy, a draft to the trustees, and we can look at it prior to us then engaging Ian to start the process for actually making a local law.
Sure.
Which is going to be actually a replacement of that entire chapter.
Okay.
All right.
Vicki, you have anything to add?
I'm sorry?
I was gonna ask
Oh,
if you
Vicki.
had anything to add.
No, I mean, one of the last pieces to show you how crazy this was is like, what's Franklin Avenue officially called?
Right.
What is 44
It
officially
used to be
called?
44, then it was, it's.
And so there are signs
Shared
actually.
Turnpike, now that's US 44. Yeah, so Shared Turnpike is now 44, Franklin is Franklin, but it also has a USP
984
Yeah.
-P. Yeah.
Well, I've heard that. That's for Franklin?
Yeah, I spoke to DOT today, so we've
Oh,
now got
okay.
it all straightened
All right,
out.
good.
We got it all straightened out, yeah, and we just have to decide how we want to refer to it consistently through the code, so.
It'd be nice to have it referred someplace that we can actually look for in the future when everyone says, what is that called?
Yeah.
Well, and also, I mean, if they're gonna enforce any of these provisions,
Yeah.
it has to be legally correct.
All right, good. All right. All right, thanks. All right, any update on the charger, EV charger?
Well, really, the ball's in the town's court at the moment.
Okay.
They are still tying up contract issues with the manufacturer, and once that's done, the manufacturer can come and do a site visit, and then Central Hudson can install.
Okay, so we're basically waiting for the town to
Yeah.
do their thing.
Yeah.
I think Bob Audio is the one who's the focal point.
What site are they considering?
Town hall.
Yeah,
The town hall site.
what we talked about?
Yeah.
Because we had I don't know, did anybody talk to Thompson Shaw?
Joe Spagnola asked me to do it, and I said, well, let's wait until the town weighs in if they do become
He
disinterested.
said he was interested in his lot.
Yeah, okay.
Well, he might be, able to do it under,
I mean, he can
another
go,
time
he
in
can go
a
himself to the
different
same group and say, I'd like to get a
certainly
charger
do
there.
it.
Right? but we're pursuing with through the town.
Are you gonna require some sort of permit if someone like Thompson Shaw would want to put one in?
Oh, if Thompson Shaw did it?
Well, you may have more sites coming up, in other words, someone
If
else.
it's on
Or
private
just
property,
put it on the
why would I
fee
care?
schedule?
If it's on private property, no, I don't think so.
Okay. Not, I mean, like someone's house makes
Yeah.
sense, but like if you were gonna use it for like public use, I don't know.
Well,
It's just something to think
it's
about.
actually on private property, be used as a financial whatever, right?
Right? And you want to make sure it's connected properly and
I really don't want to get
permitted.
into it. I know. Anybody have an opinion on that?
Agreed.
What?
No, nothing.
No.
Not
It's kind of,
not our
I look at it
business.
as it's a 120 outlet
All right.
with a little more juice in it.
Cool.
Okay, Peter, we talked about the tennis court fencing. You were going to go take a look at the. You gave me a little tour
Yes.
and showed me that the top 8 feet is fine. The top bottom 6 inches, that would be killer.
Especially on the right side of the courts. And you forwarded me an old email, probably a year old
I
now.
think it was Bob actually got that quote.
Bob
Yeah.
got it from I think Oval Tennis, the same people who did the court. Anywhere from between 10 and 20, 10 being like a sort of a fix and 20 being total replacement, maybe even more than 20.
Yeah.
Those are like the solution they have to fix the tennis court fence.
Yeah, the problem is the bottom of the fence is curling under and balls are going out.
Can't you just put a skirt or something?
Bob has put actually a mesh skirt on the back by the backboards. Right?
I mean, these tennis court outfits, I mean, I'm sure they run into that problem a lot of times.
It probably is
They
pretty
may-
typical.
They may have a way of fixing it so you don't have to replace everything.
Well, we talked about the fact that you can put in what they call a tension wire, where you go from
That won't work.
And I realize for
Oh, is that right? It won't? Why not?
for that,
This is too far gone.
Oh, it's too far gone.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
that section we're talking about
Yeah,
is,
that section.
is
The rest of
gone.
it,
The rest of it
could be saved that way.
saved that way.
No, okay.
I think due to the village's fiscal situation, I think it probably makes sense to revisit this in
Okay,
spring. I know private donors are interested in footing part of this bill anyway. So
Well, do you have so I like that proposal that we, not from a village point of view, go after it, but if a donor came forward, do you have a quote of what it would cost to actually do a fix that you think would be acceptable?
I'm not a fence expert. I think maybe if it makes sense to have Oval look at it again, because maybe the situation's changed, maybe some of those older quotes aren't relevant.
I'm sure they
the
are.
prices aren't,
I'm
but
sure
even
they
the
are.
work, maybe it's
Right.
too far gone. Because I think some of the quotes did involve the tension thing, and if that wasn't work anymore, then the quote is sort of moot.
All right, so I'll leave it to you. I agree with you that we don't want to spend village money on it.
What about if you put like a piece of treated wood all the way around, 2x12?
I believe
Fasten each post.
I believe we've done that already. We're looking for more permit solutions. You
Cover
have wood
bad
there,
spots up with it. Is that,
because you have wood there.
I'm not a tennis purist, but they might say it's gonna ricochet too hard back or
Well,
something.
we'll keep the ball in the court.
Keep it in the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep it all inside. That would be a cheap solution.
The mesh that's there is, it's pretty much doing the job, but
But that's the part by the backboards.
to do it right, you need a regular fence underneath
Yeah.
the backboard. And I don't think we got a quote for just that.
Okay.
I think we got a quote for the whole
Probably the whole.
fact behind the backboard.
All right, so Peter, you let us know.
I'm not sure, I'd have to
They'll
look.
give us a free quote, right? There's no harm.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to get a quote. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Even if
do
you
that.
get,
It's your call.
Okay.
whoever.
I'll reach out to them. I still have their info from
All right, good.
courts, so.
You wanna take I'll take a look at it with you, Peter.
Okay.
All right.
See if I can go for it.
All right, public comments. Anyone to make a public comment? Howard, Seal, Skip,
What's that?
public comment section.
Oh, so we already did that.
No. You all set?
All set.
All right, any board member updates we already covered?
Yeah, I have two.
All right,
Basically, with the climate smart communities.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the climate smart communities, I've met with, Genevieve and I have met with the person who is working with us to go through an assessment of all of the climate smart pledges. There's 115 of them. We've reviewed about half over 6 hours, 6 separate meetings. We plan to be done hopefully by the end of November with all of that, and that'll be a review of all of the different things we can do to meet the climate smart community pledges. And work however we can to get those done. Some of which we've completed, some of which we can move forward. I also met with Eleanor Peck, who is the Mid-Hudson Clean Energies Manager and Clean Energy Coordinator for the Hudson Valley Regional Council, and she said based on some of the work that we are doing now and some of the things that we're probably going to be committing to, we can look for grants for probably between $10,000 and $20,000 being able to come our way in the next year or so.
Okay.
We get some things
That's
accomplished.
encouraging.
Okay. And these meetings will go on until November, and then in the meantime, Genevieve's still going through the program as local heroes through some of
Yeah,
these
Genevieve's our
people.
focal point.
Our focal
Yeah,
point.
okay.
She'll be going through that until April, and then she'll be done with that, and we can get the Climate Smart Communities Task Force moving and starting to do some
Good.
work through that. Also, I was contacted, you were contacted by Leslie Heaney from the Town of Washington Board. There's a possibility that the town at this point would like to apply for a joint grant application to do a natural resources inventory. The grant that they're looking at would have to be submitted by the end of November, and it's a rather unusual one because it's only available to applicants in joint neighboring status. That, in other words, two communities that can work together to be able to go through the national, to go through the natural resources inventory together. And since the town and the village are both currently exploring climate smart communities programs and being able to work with them, this might be a good opportunity to get funds in order to be able to move on one of the things that both of us would be eventually planning to explore anyway. I know it's been brought up at Conservation Advisory Board meetings that a natural resources inventory would be helpful in evaluating tree inventories for the town as well as for the village.
What I remember is that they were going to be very expensive, so unless we see a lot of grant money up front, I don't think we're interested. So.
Yeah, well, it would be grant money that would be, that they would be able to use, but we wouldn't be using our own funds to pursue it.
All right.
Okay, so that's something where we have to get back to Leslie and see if we're interested, because that this should happen soon, obviously, if we're going to make an application.
There's conditions on that. All right.
Okay. There also was a Shade Tree Commission meeting on September 23rd. We talked about we're not going to have new plantings this fall for 2 reasons. A, because of the extensive drought which has come into the planting time, and secondly, the few of the trees that we were hoping to be able to plant appear to be of poor quality, and therefore it wouldn't make sense to plant.
Is that right?
Because of the drought.
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so as much as it pains me, we're not going to be planting trees this fall, but they'll go on for the spring and line up planters and be able to get someone to be able to provide us with the trees.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
Anybody else on the board have any comments? All right, next meeting is November 9th, 6 p.m. Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
And a second.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you all. Have a good evening.